Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we are starting a series on the game Human Resource Machine. It's a programming game, and frankly, if you're not interested in programming, or interested in learning programming, well, I don't think you need to apply at all. And I did say that correctly, yes, if you are interested in learning programming, maybe you would play this, but honestly, I don't think you would. So I have to make a confession here, and I've played the entire game already, once. And it was because I had audio issues with my first few recordings, and then I said, forget it, I'll just play all the games. And it's really a good idea. Not something I could do for every game I cover, but by playing the entire game and getting the two little green dots which says I've done all the challenges on every single level, I now have the solutions to the codes, to the programs already written. So, spoiler alert for the first one, it's already here, is the solution. So, I'm going to now play the game a second time after having spent a week playing it the first time, and have this as my backup in case it's taking too long. It's also going to be about an hour to get to about right here, and then it may be as long as an hour for every single level after this. It, the difficulty spike jumps a lot, and there's nowhere enough tutorials and explanations on or explanations on how to do things, or uh, so so that really kills this as a learning apparatus. You kind of need to be almost better at programming than I am right now, and I was trained for many years as a programmer. I don't do it anymore, I'm very rusty, but I was able to write all the programs and beat every level except for this one Prime Factory where I had the general idea and I just couldn't be bothered. So there's a couple of them I cheated and got the solutions off the internet. But we don't need to discuss all of that right now because we're not even going to get to that point right now. I want to just start a new game. So, new game. So which photo am I going to do? I'm going to do a different character this time. I think last time I did a girl. This time I'll do this blue hair guy, I guess. Employee number 2. You don't get to type in your name. It's kind of sucky. Uh, you never really, they never use your name, but it kind of sucks that you can't type in your name. So there's several things that kind of suck about this, but this is a cool idea. Although at the end of it, and this is the problem of me playing the game once already, is I already have my final thoughts kind of with it. Uh, I'm not sure programming as a video game ever works. I think you either program because you love the program or want to learn the program, or you program because you're getting paid the program. And you either have to enjoy it or you don't. And I certainly understand that a lot of people don't understand it and don't enjoy it. I'm going to show you things in this series that are probably I'm going to probably move too fast. I'll try to take it slow and probably not make any sense at all. So this is a real easy one for people to fall off of. Anyways, welcome to your first day. You look like an excellent instruction follower. So this is their phrase. Excellent instruction follower or instruction follower. And that's what programs are. They are instructions you write for some computer to follow. By the way, if you're noticing that this looks like World of Goo, it is made from the same creators of World of Goo. Exact same people. Your first, it's kind of a sequel. It may even be set in the same world actually, but there's no real connection. Your first job will appear over there on the right side in a moment. Remember, you can always ask me for help. So, here's your job, and it's on the right side. I would say this is somewhere 80% of the screen here is being taken up by this section, and 20% is here. In reality, it should be at best a 50-50 split, or even more all the way this way. Uh, because what you're seeing here are going to be your character following the instructions, acting as the computer, but it doesn't really give you a ton of informative information. So we can click on them to get some more information. You can click hello again. He'll say the same thing again. Our goal is to, your program should tell the worker to grab each thing in the inbox and drop it to the outbox. That's basics. Input, output, probably the second thing you would ever program in the programming class. The first thing you would just output like hello world, or before you get into any math or number manipulation or other kind of manipulations, it would be probably just output hello world, and then your second program would probably be input something and then output the thing that you inputted. So very basic programming. This whole programming language, it feels like BASIC, which is a programming language from DOS, but it might even be missing quite a few commands that are useful even from that. It's very limited. There's some major limitations. Before we start, you can click here and say tell me more. You can put together a list of commands over there on the right side. Then press the big green play button, which is not here yet, and watch what happens. What will happen? Office life is truly unpredictable, full of surprises. I've been here 24 years. Yes, thank you. One day you can be just like me. But for now, back to work. So notice he's old and he's bald. He's been here 24 years. I'm young and fresh-faced. You can also ask for examples. You'll get an achievement if you click Tell Me More on every single puzzle. So very easy achievement there. Don't even have to read it. If your inbox reads 664, your outbox should read 664. Now, their programming is all about precision here. And I'm taking way too long to do this first one. But it's not explaining how you would read these. So it's 861 going down this way. But for the outbox, it is going to be 861. And that's what they want. But they're not really explaining that. I could certainly understand people thinking maybe they need to copy it in some way. So it's 861 over here. But fortunately at the beginning here there's no way. So we want to take everything from the inbox to the outbox. And here comes the green play button. There's a step forward button, a step back button, a stop and reset button, and a speed thing. So let's hit play. He takes that, he puts it in the outbox. And it goes, not enough stuff in the outbox. Management expected a total of 3 items, not 1. So he's complaining. Now there's a couple of complaints here you can get that will get you achievements too. This is basically you failed, try again. No penalties or anything. In programming, if you had a penalty every time a program didn't work, you would give up very quickly. So there are 3 errors you can get here. You can say you can cause him to read information that can't from an invalid address, which we haven't gotten to that yet. And you can cause him to succeed using the numbers that come in, but in some way make a program that's not robust enough that it would work if it was different numbers that came in. And they'll test for that and go, well, it works for this particular set of numbers, but not all the other possible numbers. So you need to make all your programs work for all numbers, which is not even true, because there's a limit of 999 to negative 999. That's the maximum number and minimum number you will see at any point. And a lot of times the inputs here are very limited here. So what do I need to do? I simply just need to repeat the action. Grab from the inbox, go to the outbox. Grab from the inbox, go to the outbox. Hit play. Notice the numbers changed because I hit stop and reset. Uh, that's why you need your things to be robust. You're not going to get the same numbers after you make an error. There's no way to go back and try again with that same thing. That's a decent thought because it helps you realize that you can't customize your program for the input. It wouldn't be a very useful program if it knew exactly what the input was. So, mailroom year 1, your presence is requested on the next floor. Now, at this rate, I think most people would have figured that out. Maybe it would have taken people who have no understanding of computers whatsoever, maybe an hour at most. If they got stuck there, uh, give up. Well, looks like you made it this far. Congratulations on your promotion. Most people stress out and quit before making it this far. Kinda true. I mean, if you just... There was no real help there besides the examples and the introduction statement. That was it. If I had sat there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, nothing probably would have popped up and helped me or explained things in detail enough. I think if you really want to learn programming, you need one-on-one communication with somebody who really understands how to teach it, even if they don't understand how to program it. But I can tell you, you have a bright future in inbox-outbox management. Here's your new assignment. Grab each thing in the inbox and drop each one onto the outbox. You've got a new command. You can drag jump's arrow to jump to a different line within your program. With this new ability, you can complete this assignment using only 3 commands. So last time we had 6 commands to move 3 numbers. Now we can see at least 7 letters here, and it says we can do it in under 3. Tell me more. Your new command is very powerful. You can drag the jump arrow forward within your program to skip entire sections, or you can jump backwards to create loops. It's going to change everything. So this is basically a go-to statement in programming, and ironically, it's heavily used in this game, and completely discouraged in almost every form of programming language that exists. You would almost certainly get failed out of any class using go-to commands that I had ever taken. Really the first thing in my programming class is, no, you can't do that. It's terrible programming. It's just terrible programming. It makes a mess of your code. It makes infinite loops all the time. It creates terrible confusion as to what your program actually does. It can hide code. It can add vectors for mistakes. It's just absolutely the wrong thing you would do. But that's basically what this language is going to give you. We can also drag commands here for more information. So this is a little bit of the tutorial. Jump to a new location within the program. You can jump backwards to create loops, or jump forwards to skip entire sections. The possibilities are endless. That's almost exactly word for word what he said. So give me an example. If your inbox says boot sequence, your outbox should say boot sequence. And some of these things will have interesting phrases. They don't really mean anything. The story in this game, if there really is any story, there kinda is just kind of subtext and in the background. I think that hurts it a little bit too, because it makes the only thing you can do in this game be the programming, which again, I just wish there was a way to drag it further this way. It's far too squished in the side. Now, eventually, it kind of makes sense why it's so far over here, but Right now, in particular, it doesn't make any sense. So this is the right program. If you understand it, you grab one, you go out to the outbox, and then you jump back. And unlike any program I've really seen, it seems like this programming language has no problem in going in infinite loops as far as the inbox and outbox. So as soon as it grabs, well, outboxes the last thing it was expecting, it just ends the program and says you've succeeded. In a real program, you would need tests for that. You would need an exit line, something that said something along the lines of exit with a successful value or exit with a failed value. Also, you have an undo button, which you can undo one action each time down here. You have a copy button, where you can copy the code to the actual clipboard in your computer, which is helpful if you were going to try to paste your code and get someone to help you. You also have a paste code, like ask somebody online for help. You really don't need to do that. You can just find the answers, copy the answers from the internet, and then click the paste button. And then you have a clear button that gets rid of everything. And then you can't undo a clear, which makes no sense really. It should be pretty easy to do that. I will say what you get in the clipboard is kind of a mess in the way it's described. It's a different language from what you see here, slightly, and it's not very helpful. To copy this, put it like in Notepad, and then try to write the code in Notepad, which might give you more screen space, and then try and paste it back out. Not very good idea. It's better to see the pictures here. So this is the solution. Let's hit play. So it's gonna go initialize. Now we could sit here, and if we were trying to find a bug or something, figure out what's not working right, we can just sit here at regular speed, but we can also speed them up all the way to this speed, which is helpful. It's not super fast though. So year 2, your presence is requested on the next floor. So each program you figure out, you're promoted to the next floor. So you start out in the mailroom, you're gonna make it all the way to the top if you can beat the game. I really do have to wonder though. I really have to wonder about if somebody got this, was playing it on a cell phone or portable device, trying to solve one puzzle a day and having trouble even solving one puzzle a day. I don't know how long people would bang their heads against this wall just not getting the information that they need. The education is certainly not here for programming. That's kind of where I like the redstone in Minecraft. It sort of is programming hidden behind and a lot of layers of how Minecraft works. So you could kind of learn something from that, but also you can certainly ignore all the bits of redstone in Minecraft and just run around and kill zombies and such. So that's what this game's really missing. So he goes, oh no, the inbox conveyor system is completely broken. But that doesn't mean we can get to take a break from work. So, because the inbox is broken, just sending out -99, which why it would be sending out that I don't know. If anything, it should be -999, which is the minimum. Ignore the inbox from now and just send the following 3 letters to the outbox. BUG. The facilities management staff has placed some items over there on the carpet for you to use. If only there were a way you could pick them up. So we've got a new command, copy from, and this is where you start to be able to manipulate data. They've given you what is effectively 6 memory cells here, 0 through 5, and they filled them with different letters. So in what is really bad programming, we're just going to assume that the B is in 4, that the U is in 0, and the G is in 3, grab them, copy them from this. Interesting, there's no real grab, just copying. So you can either copy it and have a copy in your hands, or you can copy it to, which we don't have that command yet, and overwrite what is there. Well, tell me more. Buzz buzz. Hello, maintenance department. Our conveyor system is broken up here. Productivity is down 40%. Yes. Yes. Clearly. We'll see about that. Click. Well, the maintenance department says it's working fine down there. So give me an example. If your inbox is -9, -9, -99, the outbox should be bug, B-U-G. So it's kind of smart what they're doing here. They don't want you to really waste your time with the inbox outbox now. They want you to say learn you're not always going to use that. Instead, what we're going to do is copy from this and just outbox, and then copy from this and outbox, and then copy from this and then outbox. Could we spell something else? We could spell jug, J-U-G. And I don't think there's anything else here. B-U-G-E, G-U-B-E, G-U-G, B-U-B, J-U-J. Nope. Doesn't look like you could spell anything else from those letters. So this is the solution. Now this isn't what you would do if you were going to send out the phrase bug in a command. You would have it set as one long set of one string, of string being a list of letters, just typed in and defined as a constant value in your files. Probably not an actual constant value. You'd probably just have it written by default. So we did it. Time for year 4. It starts off real easy until we get to, I think right about here is when it starts getting crazy difficult. So year 4, Scrambler helper. The conveyor system is fixed and just in time for you to get to work. Your data won't collate itself. Grab the first 2 things from the inbox and drop them into the outbox in reverse order. Repeat until the inbox is empty. Is that what collate means? I don't even think that is. You got a new command. Feel free to copy to wherever you feel like on the carpet. It will be cleaned later. So you have 3 memory addresses, 0 through 2 here, to use however you see fit. Tell me more. First thing second. Second thing first. Things happen in and out of order is a constant source of anxiety in my life. Did we already talk about this? Maybe we already did. Or maybe we will a long time from now. It's all the same to me. So give me an example. If your inbox is 39BE15, your outbox should be 93EB51. Good thing they're giving us an example. You might have misread this and missed the 2 part and tried to put everything backwards, which you wouldn't have really been able to do. If they had given us more rooms on the carpet here, we could have moved all 6 of these things in reverse order, but as it currently stands, you couldn't. So it's pretty easy, but we always want to get our code as short as possible. That's good programming. Now they'll have two uh, challenges that will start unlocking for in a couple of levels for code that is as short as possible and code that takes the least amount of steps and then is theoretically the fastest. Now, when you write a program, you run it through a compiler that then turns it into the actual thing that runs. And because of that, you actually want your code to be as short as possible as far as the number of lines of code for ease of adjustment and for understanding and learning. And you want to put a lot of labels and comments in your code too. I'm very bad at that because I understand most of the time all of the program, so I don't bother to put comments. But if somebody else went and tried to look at my codes that I've written, it's not going to be pretty. Comments, of course, are taken out from the final product that actually runs. And yes, you can make your programs in such ways that they take the least amount of steps, but what the compiler actually does to them may add more steps the way you did do things, or may actually take away steps, and it's hard to tell. You have to get into some really low level assembly code understanding. Assembly code is the actual code that the processors run. And if you're not to that level, which most programmers won't even get to that level, it's not worth bothering. So here I'm writing the code that's needed in 8 lines. Let's see. So we're gonna inbox this to get this 4. We're gonna copy it to number 0, and then we're going to inbox number 6, which when we inbox and have something in our hands already, it will just get rid of the thing that was in our hands before, and then we're gonna outbox it. So the 6 is gonna go, and then we're gonna copy from 0 to get the 4, and then we're gonna outbox it. And so it will become 6-4 instead of 4-6. It's gonna do that loop 3 times to move everything backwards. Let's watch. I certainly could do more steps and more actions here, but this is the minimum you kind of need. Certainly if you don't understand programming, if you're not super used to it, you're going to end up with code that potentially would be 50-60 lines. In this, on your first try, that's not unbelievable, and that really makes the challenges kind of unfortunate, because there are a couple of challenges even I wasn't able to program to that. They seemed just arbitrarily difficult. A lot of the challenges I only got by meeting the exact number, not even one shorter, and I have to really question whether there was ways to make the program run any faster or with less commands on a lot of the challenges, or they simply knew the exact perfect way to code and I was able to do that. So we've done 4. Let's look at the coffee time, which is a little cutscene. We're going to get a couple of those, and this is where the story flavor text goes in. There's not a lot of story here though. Coffee time, year 5. These are your bosses, or the senior people or something.
Work, everyone.
Regions of the city continue to experience power failure. Local authorities are investigating.
So, power failures. That's your cutscene for doing 4 things, and that was number 5. There's no puzzle there at all. That's your reward, and Yeah, that really isn't a lot of reward for what could be the end point for a lot of players. It would surprise me if even at this one, people start running into trouble. And on top of that, this storyline is really not anything. It doesn't go anywhere. Anyways, let's go to rainy summer. Year 6. It's raining outside. Ugh. Welcome to my personal rain cloud. I was never very good at math, since I only have 3 fingers on each hand. But I hear you don't actually need to know very much about math to complete these assignments. Uh, yes and no. You don't need to know what 6 plus 7 is. You don't need to know 6 plus 7 is 13. But you do need to know relative mathematic tricks. High level mathematic tricks, sort of. Not the highest of high levels of mathematic tricks. You can always go higher, but there are things you need to do as far as subtracting things to see if which number is bigger, or adding things to get the combination of those two numbers. And we will see that throughout programming. So for each 2 things in the inbox, add them together and put the result in the outbox. You've got a new command. It adds the contents of a tile to the floor, on the floor, to whatever you're currently holding. Which is a little weird how this works too. Uh, because it adds the contents of the tile on the floor to whatever you're holding, when really, in my mind, it feels like it should be the other way. So if I put a 6 here, it should add the 7 to the 6, not pick up the 6 from the tile from on the floor and add it to the 7 I'm holding in my hand. It seems a little backwards that way. Tell me more. Do a good job. Our careers depend on this. Alright, so give me an example. If your inbox is 7615, negative 1, 6. So look, they're going to be negative numbers, 4 and negative 4. Your outbox should be 13. 7 and 6 is 13. 1 and 5 is 6. Negative 1 and 6 is 5. That's what happens when you add a negative. And 4 plus negative 4 is 0. That's what happens when you add a negative on the other side. Whether you add a negative on the left or right, it doesn't change. The only time it feels like it changes is if this was a negative 4 plus a negative 4, then it would become a negative 8. Because when there's a plus in between a negative number, the plus and the minus add together and just become a minus again. Now, if it was negative 4 minus negative 4, that's where it gets really weird, because then a minus and a minus becomes a plus. And so negative 4 minus negative 4 is negative 8. I guess I was trained in math a little wrong from what I just said. That doesn't sound... It is right, but it doesn't sound like the best way to explain it. Anyways, to do this code, it's not too difficult. We just simply need to, as we did before, grab the first number, put it here, then grab the second number and add it instead of just outboxing it to this, and then outbox what is going to be in our hand, and then we are done. So there's nothing more we really need to do. So let's watch this. We could do the steps here. So if we step here, we take the first one from the inbox, we put it here. We then take the second one from the inbox and we add it together. 6 plus 7 plus 6 equals 13, and then we outbox. So we know that's going to work. We've gone through the loop once. It's going to happen the same way every time. The only thing that could mess up this program is if for some reason some code here would not work because of negative numbers or because of 0. That's your real 3 options here. right now is either the number is going to be positive, it's going to be exactly 0, or it's going to be a negative number. When you're adding, nothing changes for that. So we can just hit play now, and let's just speed it up, because there's no reason to watch it. I would highly recommend anyone programming, write the code the first time. If you think you've got it done, turn that speed to maximum and hit play. Because let's say we didn't put that in there and instead did this. So this isn't going to work. This is going to just grab the 7 and send it to the outbox. Well, immediately it's going to go bad outbox management, expected 13, but you outbox 7. Well, then you just go, well, let's step back and debug. What happened? Here, we grabbed the 7, that's right where it's going to point, and then we outbox. And you can say, oh, I understand it now. So this is where the problem is. I needed to add this here. Hit play. And then you can just fast forward again if you're fairly confident you've got the whole problem solved. And for programs like this, these first few, super easy if you understand the math and the path of the commands that are going. If you understand the programming, you're probably going to get the solution pretty much on your first try. Now, that is if you understand programming. If you don't, you might not ever. It's weird. It's weird that this game is not sold with more of a warning. So we have this split path. Let's go to the triplet room. It's actually year 8. We haven't done year 7 yet. Who are you? This optional area is for high-performing employees only. Is that you? Well, you're late. 7 years late. We need to make some changes around here. I want to see a 100% performance increase. From this point on, your performance will be evaluated with extra scrutiny. That's where the challenges are going to start coming. For each thing in the inbox, triple it and outbox the result. Self-improvement tip. Where are we going with this? Please leave the high-level decisions to management. That's a weird self-improvement tip. Alright, tell me more. What? Yes, I am indeed the author of the award-winning novel, The Terrible Secret. What was the award? It was Outstanding Award for Technical Excellence. I suspect because the pages were glued together so meticulously. Yes, thank you. Back to work. So no extra information. So give me an example. If your inbox is 6, -2, 6, and 0, you should send out 18, which is 6 tripled. -2 should be -6, that's tripled. 6 again tripled is 18, and 0 tripled is 0. And then we now have this fourth challenge here, optional challenges. So we can click here. Here's where the puzzles, this is, I guess, your replayability for this game. If you just had to solve the program and that was it, and there's no reward for doing it in the shortest amount of commands possible, or the least amount of steps, which the game does not do a good job on telling you the number of steps until after the program is run. It tells you the total, but there's no running counter anywhere, which you kind of need. So this is not that hard. Inbox it, copy it to this. So now the 7 will be copied here. Then we just have to take the 7 that will still be in our hands because we made a copy, and add it to the 7 we put on the ground. That adds it, and that gives you 14. That's doubling it. Add it again, you've tripled it. That's all you had to do. You will have 21, and here we go. So notice we get the little numbering, that's nice. 6 commands here. No extra number added for this part, yeah, because it's not really a command. What were our optional challenges? Optimization challenges. Complete in 24 or fewer steps. Use 6 or fewer commands. Is there a way I could do this in fewer steps? Not really. Not this one. So let's hit play. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, that would be the only way I'd be able to know that I would be able to tell the number of steps is to count each time the green arrow on the right moves. Which is a silly way to do it because you're going to quickly get up into the hundreds of numbers of steps. So we did it. We beat the size challenge. We made it. 6. Did we do the 24 steps? Yes, we did. But I noticed something here. We can do better. There is one number that when tripled equals the same number. And that is 0. Unfortunately, I can't do better. No. If we had commands that the game gives us later, there's a jump if 0. And we could stick it right here and just skip those 3 steps in outbox 0 without bothering to triple it since 0 equals 0. Unfortunately, we only have jump, not jump if 0, so we can't improve it. Sneaky. It's kind of a shame you can't ever go back and play these levels with the previous commands. If I click here on mailroom, for instance, we are still just limited to the 2 we had. Because there's ways here we could fix this and do better. And notice the optimization challenges are appearing now for everything. We got the little dots here and it's saying, well, we didn't do this one in the least number of steps. How could we possibly do it in less steps? This one took 30 steps. It's weird the way they phrase it too. Your best completed in 30 steps on average. What it means by on average, I don't know. Measures the number of commands your program will execute before it finishes on average. Fewer is better. Average computed by testing your solution against many deterministically generated input sets. So the game is telling you that what it's showing you and what it's doing is completely different as far as the challenges. It's running your code against several inputs that are going to include the one you see but also several others, and it does it almost constantly because we see no real lag here. So the trick here is actually a very bad one. Let's see. All we need to do, instead of using the jump commands, which adds some pain to the system and makes it a lot easier, is we start to unroll the loop, is what it's called, and just do the inbox, outbox, outbox, the number of times that they're here. And since this program will not crash if there's nothing in the outbox, and won't get to a point as long as you don't program the outbox in a weird way where it could try to outbox when you don't have anything in your hands, you're perfectly safe doing this. This is terrible programming though. It's just a big old wall of text. This isn't anything you'd ever do. And almost every single compiler that you made your program in would take these first 3 lines and just convert it into this anyways for the final code. So, because assembly language computer code is super simplistic, even more simplistic than what we're seeing here. So, because I took out the jump, that means for every letter, only 2 commands are being executed instead of 3. I probably put in way too many inbox outboxes, but it doesn't matter. Really. I'm not sure how many times I'm gonna bother uh, to to get the perfect scores. This is interesting. So he says it works for my solution, but not for the next one, for a different one. So here's an error that will give you achievement. So one of those other inputs that it tested against, it doesn't work. And that tells me that if they give me a super long one, let's just hit play here, boot sequence, there's simply not enough inbox and outboxes to do it. There is also a different way we could do this that would be wiser and take up less commands, but it wouldn't be as fast. We could have an inbox and outbox, then a second inbox and outbox, then have a jump to 1. That would reduce the number of jumps in half. So for every 2 commands, instead of using 6 steps, you would be using, yeah, see there's 1 inbox, outbox. I was short. So let's add 2 more and see if that causes a problem having an extra inbox, outbox. It gave me boot sequence again. I doubt there was any specific reason there. Remember, this could be done in only 3 commands, and we're seeing like 26 listed here. And technically, in at least some way of thinking, this is the fastest way of doing it. So there is an extra inbox, but the program doesn't care. Almost every other program would crash right there and go, can't read from the inbox, there's no input. So 20 steps. I don't think you could go any shorter than that. Not for that command. So that gets me the lower dot. And so let's do number 7 here, and I think that'll be a good point to end this recording. We're gonna go all the way to the end, but there may be some puzzles I'll spend an hour on and just go, here's my solution. And frankly, the problem is gonna be, even if I do show you the solutions, all I can do is explain it and hope you can quickly see it as it's written here, because it's gonna be quite difficult for you to mimic me if you're just trying to mimic. And you don't need to do that. If you need the solution, if you just want to beat this game, there's plenty of other ways. You can type in the name of the puzzle in human resource machine and get the solutions that will at least beat the program. I'm sure there's a solution for everything. Where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? I have a note here from your other boss that says, from this point on, your performance will be evaluated with extra scrutiny. What a treat. So he says the extra scrutiny line 2. So I think he's aging a little bit. At a certain point, he looks pretty drastically different, but I don't know if it's a jump or if it's slowly aging him. It probably is a jump. So tell me more. Well, what are we supposed to do first? Send all the things that are not 0 to the outbox. You've got a new command. It jumps only if the value you're holding is 0. Otherwise, it continues to the next line. See? That was what I was talking about. Tell me more. You can always ask me to show you the optimization challenges for the current assignment. So the name of this game is Human Resource Machine. Not human resources. So human resources, you'd be dealing with humans. In this game, it's saying you're the machine. It's just you're a human machine. You're a human resource machine. So this isn't too hard. All we have to do is use this jump of 0 and outbox it, and skip over the outbox step. That's all we really need to do. Let's look at the examples just in case. For inbox, send out 502. Your outbox should be 5, skip to 0, -2. C, 0, 0, skipped. 1, 0, skipped. So everything that's not a 0 gets sent out in the same order. Now, eventually you'll have some slight difficulty dealing with letters a little bit more than numbers, but only in a couple puzzles. What's our optimization challenge? Use 4 or fewer commands and complete it in 23 or fewer steps. This is the solution here. 4 commands. You grab something from the inbox, you jump if 0, and you outbox. Now you certainly could inbox, copy to 2, copy from 2, from 0, copy to 0, copy from 0, see if what you're holding from 0 is 0. If it is, skip the inbox and then jump back to the top. You can certainly do that. It's just frivolous. It's not necessary. On top of the 9 spaces on the carpet, you have an extra space in your hands always, and that's where you'd want to deal with it. There's no reason to put anything on the tiles unless you absolutely have to. That's just an extra step. So let's hit play. 1, outboxed. It's not 0. 1 is a 0. Well, forget it then. Grab the next one. 4, outboxed. The letter A, outbox. 0, skip it. 0, skip it. -1, outboxed. Now there is going to be a jump if negative command, which will become useful later. Notice he's still holding an item. Doesn't matter. You succeeded. We got the size challenge, but it took 27 steps. So what can we do to speed this up? Well, like I've said before, we could always just remove 1 jump for every loop by doing this. Not this. This. So, because the program doesn't really care, as long as it succeeds as soon as you get the right outputs, which is incredibly strange for programs. You can just always grab 2 and go through it twice. So last time was 27 steps. Now it should be less. I would say probably somewhere around 20, which is the goal. But maybe not. Maybe I'll have to triple it up to save myself 1 more jump in the loop. Terrible programming though. It really is awful programming. That took 23. And I could certainly unroll this loop again and have these 3 commands for every single input, which would be, I believe, 7, maybe just 6. It'd just be really long. And the problem with this is you work on this code and you write it like this. A year later you forget what you were doing, or you are asked to make a change, or somebody else comes and looks at your code and makes a change. So then they say, well, copy it to this. And then maybe they drag that out of place. And maybe they say, no, I don't need to copy it to this. And maybe I need to instead copy it to this. And all of a sudden you've got different code that's doing something different. And let's say that person leaves and a third person comes to look at your code and they're like, well, what is this? I have no idea what this is even trying to do. Why would you inbox and then outbox and then try to copy something into 7 when you don't have anything in your hands, which would not work, by the way. So we can just show you here. This 4, oh, like, well, I didn't even get to that part, but yeah, I'll show you. Like this. No, I can't show you. It'll take too much time to do this. Anyways, my point is, this is terrible code. What you want is to have nice tight code with some comments here, which we don't have the comments enabled yet, but you'd like to say, this is the input, I get the number from here, I'm getting this number to do this series of things to it. This is the command here that is testing the input to see if it's 0, and this is the output. Now that would be an incredibly large amount of commenting for an incredibly simple program, but that's the level of comments you might want to do. I don't think you can ever over comment in the program. I just don't think you can. So that leaves us at 9 of, I believe, 42 dots. So that puts us at a good place to end this recording and set us up. So yeah, if you already know how to program, if you've already taken a year of programming, I'd say give this one a try. But if you've been going through this and you've made it this far and you just didn't understand anything I was talking about and nothing you saw made any sense, I'm sorry, but you're really not going to get anywhere in here. They only get incredibly more difficult. Way more difficult. And these programs in this game are not even really difficult programming challenges. Programming itself is simply just not a game. It just isn't. It's a long and sometimes difficult and sometimes brutal experience in testing code and failing at having the code fail, and then trying to debug your code and figure out what was wrong with it. And that's just not a game. Games are designed to make you succeed despite yourself. Programs are just going to do whatever you tell them to do. And a lot of times your first impulse, your second impulse, your 10th impulse on a program are going to be the wrong things to tell the computer to do. So yeah, we're going to come back if you're still interested. I'm sorry to be so down on it, but after playing this game for a week, I think this is the right way to warn people of this game. And frankly, you're not going to learn programming very well from this. Even if you know a little bit of programming, it's not the kind of challenges that are going to help you or give you any kind of motivation to learn that much stuff. Although there are going to be some cool things here, so maybe there are a few fans of mine that have no interest in programming and they'd like to see some really cool programs, because in a few of them I did some kind of amazing things that made the programs really fast or work in ways the programmers probably didn't think about that much. But I'm sure somebody else thought of them. That's kind of at the core of programming too, is that you might actually have a chance to create something that's brand new to the universe. You might find a way or think of a way or a strategy that nobody else has ever thought of and do it. Simply put, in my second year of programming school, we spent almost the entire year learning how to make programs that sorted lists. And doing that over and over again and learning new ways and thinking of new ways is quite an interesting experience to just focus on that. And at the end of the year, I'm pretty sure I'd come up with a pretty ingenious sorting that I think is rated at a very high rating for how fast that list would sort compared to others. It has some limitations, but I could work around those with better hardware, I suppose, or newer hardware. But when I turned that program into the professor, he told me after giving me 100 on it, he said, "I don't know how this works or what you're doing, but darn does it work." And I'll leave it at that. that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me even further than that, you can click on my name Rydo. That'll take you to my main YouTube page. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. You can click that and make a donation. Also on my main YouTube page is a playlist tab. You can click that and see a playlist for every game I've ever covered. I'm sure there's something there that will interest you, so check those out. And then finally down below in the description box, I have links to all my social media sites. So friend and follow me on Steam and Tumblr and Battle.net and Twitter and Facebook and Google+. Friend and follow me on all those things. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.